Hey there, I am Barb Higgins, and this is 1,000 Tiny Steps. In this podcast, I share my stories of love, loss, triumph, and tragedy as I continue to retrace my steps and ponder what led to the death of my daughter Molly. By doing so, I hope to not only help myself, but to bring purpose and possibility to those who listen. If you are ready to laugh, cry, shake your head in disbelief, then tie, buckle, face up, or slip on your shoes, and join me as we begin our 1,000 Tiny Steps. Hey everybody, Barb Higgins here, welcoming you to episode 211 of 1,000 Tiny Steps. So today, you can count on me crying a lot and going down memory lane in ways that I didn't even remember existed with my two guests. So with me today are Evelyn and Steven Kidder, and I met these two fabulous human beings when they were teeny tiny. I think Steven was probably Jack's age or a bit younger, and Evelyn was maybe kindergarten, first grade, right around that age. And I met them because their older sister, Leslie, was a runner for me, and she participated in track clubs and park and rec track and middle school track and high school track. And Leslie was one of those athletes that was a lot more than a track athlete to me. She showed up at my house often. She reached out for help often. She drove me nuts often. But there was nothing about Leslie that wasn't dynamic and wonderful. Even the bad stuff seems to be fantastic. Leslie and I got pregnant at the same time with babies. Her daughter Jenna and my daughter Molly were born 2 weeks apart. I remember her coming to visit me at the locker room at Concord High School during spring track probably about 2 weeks before Jenna was born. Track had just started, and she had a big belly. And what I envisioned was our babies growing up together, that we might come at it from different parts of life. I was 40 years old and Leslie was, 19 or 20, and we were just at different ages. And that didn't happen. So about a year and a half or so after the birth of that baby, Leslie was hit head on by two trucks on a highway. It wasn't a pleasant death. Leslie was under the influence, crossed the median, and was on the wrong side of the highway. And there's nothing good about an accident like that for anybody. It's heart-wrenching. It's terrifying. And my piece of it was that Leslie was the first student or athlete that I had coached or taught that died. It was a bad, bad experience for me. And I was just the coach. Sibling loss is, well, I think you guys in your stories will explain what it is. It sucks. So have at it, you guys. Thank you for coming.
So my name is Evelyn Knowles, former maiden name Evelyn Kidder. I am a military spouse. I have been married come September 4th, will be 18 years. I have two beautiful babies. Bill is 17 and Grace is 12, currently stationed here in Louisiana. Growing up with Leslie, and I see this skit all the time, and I know it's probably not the greatest, but when it's a skit of when you're at your sister's funeral and people are like, oh my God, she was so funny, she was so great, she was so amazing and friendly. And the siblings are looking at each other like, who the fuck are they talking about? So growing up with Leslie, she did have her very few moments where me and her were really good together. We got along, but most of the time it was arch nemesis of each other.
Yeah.
We did not really bond really closely until I was 16 and was pregnant. And she died, I think, Stevie, a month, 2 months after we found out?
I remember she died a few weeks before I started my freshman year.
It was in August.
Yeah.
We must be around the anniversary of it right now.
Yeah, it was August 21st.
Yeah. So you're pregnant at 16. Did you know you were pregnant before she died?
No. So the crazy thing is, and Stevie can relate, so I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 5.5 months along. So I had taken 3 pregnancy tests. I had gone and taken a urine test, and they all came back either negative or clear. And so I remember it was Leslie, because I remember my mom and I being in the bathroom, and my mom was like, either you're pregnant or you have a tumor. We need to go get you checked. And I went to Dr. Walsh's office, and he did a blood test. And he came back, and he was like, you're pregnant. And I just remember just being like, oh, my God, is it too late for an abortion? He's like, well, we don't live in Texas, so no, you can't have an abortion. You're too far along. And my mom looking at me and just being like, what do you want to do? And I was just like, I can't be a mom. I'm 16. And Dr. Walsh was like, well, I know this great adoption attorney. Stevie, what's her last name?
And McLean Custer, former
Yep.
congresswoman.
Oh, yeah, she's fantastic.
Dr. Walsh got us in connection with her, and we started that adoption process with her. But I'll never forget coming home, and Mom had told Leslie, and Leslie was like, oh my God, like, I'm so excited for you. And Mom looked at her and was like, she's not keeping the baby. And Leslie, like, you could just see, like, her heart just sunk, and she was like, why? Like, don't you want this baby? And I was just like, I'm 16.
Right.
I can't give this baby what it needs. I can't do this.
I'm not there yet. Yeah.
And Leslie was like, are you sure? Like, I'll help you. And I was looking at her and I was like, how are you going to help me?
She can't help herself.
Exactly. And I remember my mom at a very standpoint just like looked at her and she was like, Evelyn's made her decision. You just need to support it and you need to be and stand by her for this.
Yes. Be the sister.
And then I want to say like within 2 or 3 weeks after that, and it was really weird. So like after I found out I was pregnant, like we got really, really close,
Right.
like oddly, weirdly close because she was like, hey, how are you feeling? This is what helped me with my stuff. And it was like the closest that we had ever been in that 16 years of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah. So that's your lead up. Steven, what was going on in your life?
Steven Kidder. I'm a teacher, done a variety of things. Very much like Evelyn, my relationship with Leslie was strained. There's a big age gap between Leslie and the rest of us. So it was just, she was always the person I wanted to be. She was the cool one. She was really smart. She did track. She did all those things, all the things I wanted to do and be. So it was very strange. It felt like it was Leslie there and then me and Evelyn and Sam. Yeah. There's like a separation, though there was a deep connection between Leslie and Sam that just, they were twins, but not twins.
They were very, very much alike.
Even though they don't even have the same father, though. That's the interesting part. Leslie and Sam have different fathers. So similar to Evelyn, I wasn't pregnant, but towards the end, towards the last like 6 months of Leslie's life, I did feel myself getting close to her. I felt like there was a repairing happening of some sort. Maybe like she thought, like she knew it was happening or knew something was going to change. It was weird. I remember the night it happened, I woke up in the middle of the night and it was like a awful storm and I couldn't get back to sleep. And I was like, and I think of that, like when I woke up, it was the moment she died, I think, to some degree. I was going into my freshman year of high school. I wasn't out. I was still in the closet at that point, as in the closet as I could be. I'm very gay. It was just very strange because I had to start high school like weeks later. Leslie had just died. Like we had gone to the funeral and I did all these things. And I felt I had to. Evelyn, did you speak at the funeral?
I tried to, but I couldn't get the words out. So
I think, me and Mom were the only ones to say anything. And I had worked on something I wanted to say. And I remember saying, and I think I just broke down in tears. And then Leslie's friends of mine had come.
I distinctly remember that funeral. I told your mother I would be happy to speak. And then I get the program at the funeral and I'm like listed in the program. So I'm like, okay, I better sound good now. And I was very anxious about it. And I told the story, Evelyn. My biggest memories of Leslie were that she was just a pain in the ass. Like she was late. She didn't always follow the rules. But if I needed help, she was the first one to say, I'll do it. And she would help me. And so it was White's Park, 400s around the pond. It was like a Saturday morning. You guys are all playing at the playground. And so she would go over and check on you during the rest periods. Like we'd run a 400 and then you have 3 minutes rest and she'd find you. And she came back and she had this look of utter sheer panic and terror on her face. I'd never seen her look vulnerable before. I'm like, Leslie, what is it? And she's like, I can't find Evelyn. And the whole entire team went to the playground to look for you. And we found you. I get teary-eyed now because she cried. Like she was so worried that she'd lost you. I'd never seen that gentle side of her. So I'm quite sure a piece of Leslie's anger or resentment of you guys is that she was like the other mother, like
she definitely was.
I'm the caretaker here. It's not my job, but here I am. I told that story at the funeral. That was one of my stories. And you got up, Steven, and talked about the thunderstorm and that somebody had told you that when it's thunder, it's somebody taking a crap in heaven or something like that.
I think God's peeing on you or something.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I remember you had gut-wrenching sobs. It was profound. I remember she had that group of friends, Meg and Devin and Jamie and
Kate.
Yeah. They were all there. I was supposed to meet a former coach friend of mine at Tio's where Leslie was. And I didn't know she was going to be there. I was just going to meet a friend. And at the last minute, I was tired and I had laid down and I should have just gotten up and gone. That's how I feel now. But I didn't go. And she messaged me and said, oh my God, you'll never guess who's here. Leslie's here. And I'm like, oh, I should have come. And but it was like 11 at night, and I had little, 1.5-year-old Molly and 3-year-old Grace. And
Yep.
and so I didn't go. And so forever, it was such a strong pounding realization for me that had I gone, I put this on me now, maybe the events of her night would have been different and she wouldn't have gotten behind the wheel at the time she did to make the mistakes she did. You know what I mean? Like maybe it would have been different.
Well, so her best friend at the time, Jess Root, they were supposed to link up, but something
Yes.
came up with Jess.
Yep.
So Jess didn't go.
Yes.
And so Jess carried that same thing. She's like, if I had gone.
Yes. So sometimes in the big picture of the universe does what it does, I think that maybe all these things happen because the lay of the land and the events were supposed to occur. Like part of me takes comfort in that.
I remember after Leslie died and getting much older and just being like, and I think me and Stevie have talked about this before, like if what happened to Leslie hadn't occurred, would me and Stevie have followed that same trail? Because like I know after she died and after I became of drinking age, and I was just like, how did your life so bad that you got yourself in that predicament? Because I got pregnant when I was 20 with Bill. And, we always, and Stevie can confirm, like, we always had Jenna. We were always watching Jenna because Leslie either had to work or she was going out to do something or whatever. She would come home at like 2 or 3 a.m. or come back the next day and get Jenna, or we would drop her off. And after I had Bill, granted, Randall had deployed, so I had moved back home. But it was just one of those things of like, I couldn't imagine leaving Bill for hours and hours at a time to just go do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. That was the weird piece of Leslie. That brings me up to her senior year of high school where she just decided, I'm done. I'm done being a good student. I'm done being an athlete. And she started getting in fights and hanging out with idiots and smoking cigarettes and drinking and doing pretty heavy drugs.
I'll never forget, she got accepted to some kind of honor roll society.
Yeah.
And Mom had gotten a letter and Mom was like, oh my God, like blah, blah, blah. And Leslie was like, and Mom was like, what do you mean, and? She had gotten some kind of a scholarship to go to college.
Yeah.
And Leslie's like, I'm not going to school. And my mom just looked at her and was like,
what happened in your head?
Like, she wanted to get out of school. She was hanging out with a bunch of horrible people. And her life literally like was way, way, way up here. And then like
it just corner turned.
Yeah. And by the time she like almost graduated, she was like at the bottom of the barrel. And I remember my mom going, Leslie, like, if you don't fix your shit, like, you're going to not be able to graduate because her grades just plummeted.
Yeah. I just remember it was weird.
And luckily, she was able to get her grades up and was able to graduate. But my mom was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Something clicked in her head.
The only thing I can think of is she endured awful things as a child.
Yes, I do know sexual abuse and stuff.
Do you think something unlocked? Like something
I don't know what I'm saying is I think sometimes when you endure like immense trauma, whether you deal with it or not deal with it, that's the direction you go in. I think maybe at some point for some people just adds up and you're like, you can't, that's it.
Something clicks and
that's just it.
When you were talking about that's like, it made me think like maybe, her past trauma finally clicked in or whatever, or it surfaced and she was like, I can't handle this.
How old were you when she was a senior in high school?
So there was a 5-year difference. So I was
coming into middle school. Yeah. I wonder if you becoming a teen, like I know I had a big, huge breakdown when Gracie became the age that I was when I was first molested by my father. And I remember just like, how the hell do you do that to, this is a teeny tiny little girl. Like, what kind of monster does such a thing? It's, I was much older. I didn't have Gracie until I was 38 years old. So I was better equipped to handle that rush of reality. And I got angry. It was the first time I'd actually felt like pissed off about it. So I wonder if she had a triggering event. I mean, we could speculate on that forever, but I do know that her corner turn was heartbreaking for all of us because she had so much potential. She could have competed in track in college. She was such a talented athlete.
Yeah, she just gave it up. I still want to go back and like, what the fuck? I was like, why? I was like, could have charted a course that you didn't even know about.
Change your life inevitably.
Yeah.
Like if she had not gotten mixed up with Todd,
I know.
And if she had stuck with the track, she could have gotten a full scholarship.
Oh, easily.
Off to college.
In a heartbeat. Yeah.
Her life would have been completely different. Right.
Which also means the trajectory of your life would have been different, and I can't imagine life without Gracie or Molly. But I turned down a big offer with Nike to move home because I didn't want to leave a boyfriend who we broke up like 6 months later anyway.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my God, if I had gone to Georgia and run for Nike South, and I could have done all these things. And then I think, but there wouldn't be a Gracie or a Molly, except that
No.
there would be other kid. Like I would have,
Yep.
whatever kids I would have had would have been the Gracie and the Molly. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to speculate on these things. I know your mother too had a lot of struggles with her own issues.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to tell anyone else's story, but I do know that she worked really hard with sobriety and has had success with that. But there was a period in time of life where that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I know that Leslie, you all were in such an unhealthy environment. So then Leslie dies. And then we have little Sam too, who's a part of all this. The funeral's over and everyone sort of moves along with whatever they're doing. What was life like after that?
Dark. It was dark. It was not good. Evelyn soon went away to the military not long after that. My mother has struggled with sobriety most of her life, as in my father. Our parents weren't really able to be parents. Leslie had to fill a role there that she could have very, very well been resentful of. She's like, I can't be a kid. I have to be a mother. Evelyn had to raise me and Sam and so on and so forth. It got really dark before it ever got any better. My mother's addiction got worse. Evelyn having to pick her up at bars because my mom couldn't walk. Eventually it softened, but it wasn't pretty for a long time.
Well, and I think from Barb's perspective, I couldn't even imagine losing Bill or Grace. I don't think I would survive. And Barb had to lose Molly. Well, didn't have to lose her, but she lost Molly. Mom lost Leslie, and nobody really equips you or mentally or emotionally prepares you
At all.
to deal with that loss.
No, it's horrifying.
And the one thing that I remember Stevie telling me, it was shortly after Leslie died, is Mom had told him, if it hadn't been for you, Evelyn and Sam, I would have put a gun in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I was just I couldn't imagine in her the loss of just your child's gone.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I
Exactly.
could hate
and the
someone.
way that Leslie was killed was horrifying. It wasn't, oh yeah, she was just really sick or she was really old. No, Leslie made a really dumb decision and got behind the wheel under the influence of drugs and alcohol and was trying to go to a party and at some point blacked out or passed out, crossed over the median, going north southbound, went up an exit ramp, hit a truck, an 18-wheeler head on. I remember my mom, that morning that we found out, my mom just was like, are you joking? You're joking. Stop fine.
I remember Todd brought us, he was such an asshole. Oh my God. He woke us all up. It was overcast. It was dark. He woke us up each individually and said, come down to the living room. Come down to the living room. So we all did. And here's Todd, shocker, shirtless. And he starts talking about it. I can't even recall the words, but I remember him saying Leslie's dead. Mom's like, you're kidding. It was a primal scream. It was from,
Nothing
it was
you've
an
ever heard.
ancestral scream. And we were eventually all on our little islands and little chairs around each other. And we all just encircled Mom and just sat there and laid there and cried and sobbed.
The one thing I'll never get out of my head is the morning that she was killed. Because as soon as, the news is hit that we know, my mom, unfortunately, is having to call everybody and let them know, hey, Leslie's dead. And having to be like, yep, she died in a car accident, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember, there were two people on her side. And I don't know if you remember this, Stevie. She was at the kitchen counter, just trying to somewhat compose herself. And everyone's like, it's okay. And her just being God says that he'll only give you so much you can handle. I can't handle this. I can't do this. And her literally kicking the cabinet that was below her so hard that it cracked. And Mom just went into this screaming, crying thing again. And we're kids. We understood, we knew that she had died, but we were just
my mother's fucking nuts. What's happening to her? What is going on here?
Exactly.
It was.
The funny part is I'm pregnant. People are now just seeing me holy shit. Evelyn's got a belly. Yeah. And people it's a day that we found out and people are trying to get me to constantly eat and drink something. And my Aunt Carolyn looking at me and be like, you need to calm down. And I was just like, can you go away from me? And I very distinctly remember Stevie just being like, She's had like 5 sandwiches. She's good.
Right.
Just
Leave her alone.
and like picking me up like by my hand, be like, hey, let's go sit over here.
Yeah.
Nobody else was on that couch for whatever reason, and me and
Yeah.
Stevie just sat there.
In the hospital, Concord Hospital, before we even took Molly to Dartmouth, the doctor said, well, we were too late. We think we were too late. I'm like, too late for what? You know, we've been here for 16 hours. What do you mean too late? So the doctor said to me, if Molly were a 60-year-old woman and I got the call with her symptoms, I wouldn't have even come to the hospital. I would have just said, call it. But she's 13. So I'm sitting there staring at this doctor and I hear the ocean in my ears. And then I hear this noise, this really loud noise, and it was me. Like it took me a minute to, it was that guttural,
Yep.
like I couldn't, and I got up on the table and I crawled on my hands and knees across the table right into his face, like just screaming no. And then I crawled off the table, I peed my pants, like, it was, and this nurse was like, we need to sedate her. And my mother's like, you need to let her do what she's doing. Like
She needs to grieve. She
Yes,
just
leave her
lost her
alone.
kid. She needs
Yeah,
to
yeah.
let it out.
Yep. When you say the guttural scream, I can picture your kitchen. I can picture your living room. I can picture that house. To have to witness that as a child, I don't even know how to wrap my arms around you guys enough to tell you I'm so sorry. That had to be the suckiest millisecond of your life. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely was. And it's crazy. So when Sam passed, I wasn't ready. Like, I think Sam's death affected me way more than
Oh,
Leslie's
hands
death.
fucking down. Oh, yeah, hands
Because,
down.
like, we were both older. And
Yes.
We were, yeah.
And I'll never forget when Stevie called me.
Oh, my God, I hate that, yeah.
I had 15 minutes left of my shift. And Stevie called me. And I was like, oh, like, Stevie's called me. Like, I'm off. Because
I don't do that. I don't do that.
yeah, like,
So it's either like I won the lottery or somebody's dead. It's nothing
yeah,
in between.
And
No, yeah, it's awful.
yeah, like he called me and he was like, hey, I have something to tell you. And I was like, oh my God. Like, because I'm thinking it's like mom. Like something's happened to mom. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, Stevie, like, what's wrong? And he was like, and he just, you can tell his voice is starting to break. And he was like, Sam's dead. Just like guttural
Yeah,
scream,
same
like
thing.
that primal, like just screaming no in the phone. It was horrible.
Yeah. So Leslie was 21 when she died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just about to turn 22. How old was Sam?
29.
29.
And he had an illness?
Addiction. The way I classify it, that both Sam and Leslie died as a product of addiction. Leslie with her drinking and her drug use. Sam was
Sam was
unfortunately
trying to get sober.
was sober when he died, but he'd been in and out of rehab 4 or 5 times in his childhood as a product, not as a product of Leslie, but that didn't help. My brother was drinking
all of
quite
it.
young.
Right.
Yeah. And so he had taken lunch from work and on the way home had grabbed, I think, a 6-pack, but never opened it. What they suspect happened is he had a seizure in his living room and then suffocated. And then when he didn't come back for lunch, the managers called. His then girlfriend went over and found him dead.
I have all these mom groups, grieving mother groups, and child loss groups. The number of adult children that die from alcoholic induced seizures is mind boggling.
It is awful.
And oftentimes it's not the seizure itself that's fatal. It's the fact that they're alone when they have it. So they either aspirate on vomit or they land in such a way that they suffocate themselves.
So when Brittany found Sam was flat on the floor, like face down.
Yeah.
And the weird thing, my mother almost died of said thing years previous. My mom got sober years after Leslie died.
She got really sick.
She decided all of a sudden one day, because mom was that person, she's like, I'm not going to drink anymore.
I'll never forget calling mom because I was stationed at Fort Hood and I kept trying to call mom and mom wasn't answering. And so I called Carolyn and Carolyn said, hey, mom's in the hospital. So what had happened was mom, for whatever reason, had gotten really, really sick.
Yeah.
And she wasn't eating anything. She was constantly throwing up, but she was still consuming alcohol.
Yeah.
She says that it never happened, but I'll never forget going to the hospital bed and her telling me that God came to her and told her, if you don't stop this right now, I'm going to take you. You will not live to see tomorrow.
She felt as though it was divine intervention, but didn't tell any of us that she was doing that. After this, she literally lost her mind. She had alcohol psychosis. She had no idea who she was. The alcohol just impacted her body so much. She couldn't keep a conversation. She couldn't keep a story straight. She was hallucinating. She was acting like a child. On the day mom has to go back to the hospital for a checkup, she is out of her mind. I remember walking into a room and she is naked. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she looks at me, blank face, like, I don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. Like grabbing clothes for her to put. And I didn't have my license. My mom ended up driving us to the hospital, that could have ended terribly. But we go in, we're at Family Health Center, and she comes in, sits, and we check her in, and then has a full-blown seizure in the middle of the waiting room, falls down, convulsing. I am screaming. I was like standing there while they rushed in, picked her up, and did all the stuff and whisked her away. But even at that moment, she had not told anyone that she was an addict, that she'd been drinking, and that she's just stopped drinking. So she almost died. And I remember the doctor saying, it's like, yeah, if she'd been anywhere else, she would have been dead.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm listening to this, and I'm listening to you two interact as siblings, and I'm thinking about your lives and like all that you went through. Like, it's not enough what you grew up with. And Evelyn, I know you had a pretty not shady, but horrifying past yourself with abuse. And then this has to happen. You have to lose a sibling, and then all the disaster that goes with losing a child and losing a sibling. And then you lose another sibling. Like I think you guys have earned like a free pass to happiness now.
I would like that. Yes, please.
I know. It would be great, wouldn't it, Stevie?
Yeah. And I was molested and sexual. Like no one in our family was
Not
free of it.
free of
My
it.
dad was controlling in all sorts of ways, economically, financially, psychologically, physically, sexually. Not a fun ride. We learned a lot about ourselves, but no, it was shitty.
Yeah, I can relate. I was the only abuse victim in my family well, no one else has admitted that they were abused. All I know is at age 62, it's been 50 years since I've been abused by that person, and it still is part of my life all the time.
Hands down. Yes, it is. You
Sit-
can't escape it.
No, it's like a mindset, it's a trigger, it's a memory, it's a flashback.
And I know, like, for me, like, I wasn't molested by a family member. I was molested by Leslie's friends and raped and gang raped by Leslie's friends at 12 and 13. And I remember, me and Steve, we've talked about this numerous times. Like, I told Leslie and I told my mom, and I was being told I was a liar. I wasn't telling the truth. I'm doing it for attention, blah, blah, blah. And then what was oddly strange is when I was 16 and I was pregnant, for whatever reason, Leslie was in my room and she had found my diary and she had saw what I had wrote. Like, hey, this happened, and I told Jen Gladys, and this happened, and this happened. And I came downstairs, and Mom was making breakfast, and her and Leslie are like next to each other, like hoarding over this. And I'm like, what's wrong? And Leslie and my mom look at me and they're like, why didn't you tell us? And I go, tell you what? And she goes, that you were raped. And I was like, I did tell you. I told you multiple times, and you both told me I was lying and I was doing it for attention.
Did they own up to
And
that?
they did, because Leslie was just like, I really thought you were just doing it for attention. And I was, why would I do that for attention? Why would I say that?
There's a lot of easier ways to get attention that don't
Exactly.
require you to say those
And
words.
I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor.
Right.
I survived that abuse. It should have completely mentally destroyed me, but it didn't.
Right.
And for me, like, when you talk about, Gracie and Molly, Grace is 12 now. There are moments where I have it where I'm like, she's the same age that I was when things started happening to me.
Yes.
And for me, I'm like, I swear to Christ, if something, granted, like, Bill and Grace as siblings are very different than Leslie and I were. Like Sam, always calling each other names.
Yeah.
Bill is a very protective older sibling. Like, when we were in California, he had his friend group, and they all looked at Grace like a sibling, and they would all go back and forth with each other. But it's mind-boggling to me. I'm like, she's the same age that I was when this started happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a mother, you look at it like, oh my God, like what's wrong with people?
Exactly. And like the red flags. And as Stevie has said, when we were growing up, my mom and dad were both addicts. They were both alcoholics, and they were not the greatest parents at that time. They had their own traumas. They had their own things going on.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
They weren't really paying attention to us. Stevie and I could go on for days about how many things we did being young kids that we should have died from.
Yeah, hands down, period. Hands down.
And my mom not seeing any of those flags.
Right.
Not seeing one red flag and being like, something's
off here.
Why is a 21-year-old man hanging around my 12-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
Why does he keep staring at her?
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of things that I'm like, now as a survivor of abuse, and with my own children, I'm like, I'm always like looking at everybody. And
Yes, yes.
Randall, my husband, is the same way. Like he's very hypervigilant.
Yeah. Hypervigilance is my reality as well, which isn't, I mean, and Stephen, I think I have to be honest, what's my idea about you, not my judgment, because I'm not, judgment's the wrong word, but if I had to describe you as somebody, I would describe you as someone who is hyper aware of your social situation and the dynamics of the people around you. It's why you do so well with people, because you see it all. You can scan a room and see 50 things. And that's a very common byproduct of a chaotic, abusive childhood. Walk into a room and think, at age 5, you walk in and you're like, okay, I'm 5. And
Your head's at a swivel.
yeah.
Where's safety? What is safety?
Yes.
Where's
Yep.
safety? Okay, cool. It's
Yeah,
just
where do I sit? What do I do? Okay, got it.
You situate yourself
Yeah.
at all times because you have to be aware of what's happening, and you have to be aware of things that the unspoken stuff as well. You just become very attuned with the minutia of it all because you
Yes.
have to become familiar with it because it's safety. If I know what's happening, I'm safe.
Yes.
If I don't know what's happening, I'm unsafe.
Correct. Sam's death was also a bit of a surprise because he didn't
Yes.
have like a chronic illness. Addiction is a chronic illness, but I mean, that was
Yeah.
like the reality of your life. So how did that go down? Like, how was that for your mom and how was that for you guys as a family?
As Evelyn said, Sam's death was worse, I think, because of the age difference between Leslie and the rest of us. It was a distance. Sam was us. Sam was our little brother. So the
Yes,
notion
yes.
of, even though him and Leslie were more pally than he was with us, it felt massive. I was out visiting a friend in Western Mass. They had an art exhibit out there and they wanted me to go see it. And I went out. I was at least a drink, if not a drink or two in, when I got a call from my mom's then friend saying Sam's dead. And I immediately called Evelyn, went outside, sobered up. Then my friend Addis, who I was with, I'm like, Addis, you have to drive me back. I'm like, my brother's dead. And I remember driving back we were like at this chicken wing place, driving back to his place. And then he's like, do you need anything? I'm like, no. And I just jumped on the road and drove up to Keene because that's where my mother was at the time. It felt so much heavier because he was so much younger and we had more time with him. We had an additional 8 more years with him that we didn't have with Leslie.
And we had a closer connection with Sam.
Yeah, of course we did. Yeah, we had a very different connection with Sam. He went through Leslie's death with us. He went through him, Evelyn, and Sam were both I call them my knights in shining armor when it comes to my mother, my protection in a world of unsafety. I couldn't comprehend it. And it just felt like, are you fucking kidding me? When it happened. And I remember just driving straight to my mom's and then Evelyn.
I arrived on Sunday. So for me, Stevie calls me. I'm just like screaming. I'm crying. Brandon, who I was working the shift with, he was like, hey, like, you have this email. It's been sitting. Like, are you good? And I just remember calling him and I was like, I just found out my brother's dead. And he was like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you still here? Clock out, go.
Yeah.
And I just remember just sitting there and just like trying to focus on clocking out and closing everything. And I just remember because I told Stevie, I was like, I'll call you back. Let me just try to figure something out. Of course, like I'm screaming, I'm crying.
Right.
And then the mom brain of me is like, fuck, I gotta tell my kids that their uncle's gone.
Yeah.
I've got to tell Randall. And I remember walking out of our living room into the den. I just looked at Bill. And of course, like at that point, like I am puffy eyed, it was horrible looking. I probably looked like a monster. And I remember looking at Bill and Bill's like, Mom, I know. I just heard. And I just remember telling him, like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And he was like, Mom, there's nothing you could have done.
No.
Because at that time, we're stationed out in California. And Bill just gives me a hug. And I was like, I can't tell Grace. Can you go tell Grace for me? Because I got to go talk to your dad. And he's like, yeah, Mom, I got it.
Yeah.
And Grace, of course, is like 7, 8, maybe 9 at the time. So she's still like young.
Yeah.
And so Bill tells her, she's just like, what do you mean? And Bill's just like, Sam went to heaven. And she was like, is it because he was sick? And he goes, yeah, it's because he was sick. Yeah. And God told him it's time for him to go home.
Yeah.
And I go to the garage and I'm looking and like Randall's fiddling around with something because he's just
trying to stay busy.
Something.
Yeah.
And I go and he just like stops and stands up and he's just staring at me and he's like, what's wrong? And I just remember just iterating like, Sam's gone. And Randall immediately was like, where is he? Like, do we need to go find him? Like, is he missing? And I was like, no, Sam's dead. And I just collapsed in the garage on greasy, like oil spotted floor. And Randall picks me up and he was like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just know Sam's dead. And he was like, okay. Do we know anything? And I was like, I don't know anything. And he was like, okay, let's get you figured out to get you home. Like,
Yeah.
you need to go home. And at first, like, I was trying, for whatever reason, I was like, the kids need to go with me. Like, I want the kids to go with me. And Randall's just like, no, the kids are not going with you. The kids do not need to be around this.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
And I
for him.
was like, that's not fair. Like, that was their uncle. And, like, I remember getting really mad at Randall. And he was like, baby, they don't need to be around this. You need to be there with your mom and your brother.
It would have been incredibly difficult for you to balance all that out. I think if you had
Oh
Exactly.
my
brought them
God.
up, yeah. I also get you wanting them with you. They're your babies.
Yeah. And I remember calling Stevie back and I was like, hey, how's mom? And he was just like, how do you think she's doing? And I was like, okay. I was like, should I call her? And he was like, I would give her a little bit of time.
No.
Like, don't call her right
Nope.
now. Give her a little
Nope.
bit of time. And
Yeah,
the
she
next
must
thing
have
I
been out of her
do,
mind. Now she
oh my,
had been sober for a while by this point, yes?
She was sober for a bit, but she was using again, but not to the extent she was before. She
Yeah.
thinks she'd been using again, but she'd been drinking, but only socially. So she was still drinking, but not to the extent she was when she got sober. But no. And so I remember I got there and I'm like, what do you need? And I think one of the first things I did is like, can you just answer these fucking phone calls? And I'm like, cool. I'm like, I'll pick up. And it's weird. It's very strange about me. Evelyn, maybe you have the same thing. If I'm in alert, it's like my brain turns off. I'm like, cool, great. I'm just operating. I'm like, cool, I just need to do these things.
yeah,
So
you're
like,
just on like autopilot.
Oh, I'm good at
exactly.
that.
I'm almost like, okay. I'm like, fielding calls. I'm like, yes, he's dead. And being so almost matter of fact about it and so cold about it because like, in order to do all this, in order to handle all of it, which I felt like having to shield my mother and be there for my mother, I had to be cold.
So I always call that stepping out. It's absolutely dissociation, where you dissociate from all of the emotion. When you're in the middle of being abused, you dissociate. You think about the
Yeah.
beach or your pet Stuffy or whatever you
Yeah.
think about. And I call it stepping out because I know sometimes the first inkling I have that I'm in trouble emotionally is when I step out. I'll be like, oh my God, I'm stepping out right now.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Barbara? Why are you stepping out? And
Mhm.
but yeah, and I call it barb mode. I get into barb mode where I'm fine,
Mhm.
hashtag barb.
I'm good.
Yep,
I'm good.
yep,
I'm good. I'm
exactly.
fine.
Yep, and
Yeah.
I can accomplish a ton of stuff in that mode. I think we all have the ability to do it, but it's
So I had the opposite. Like, I called my mother-in-law and she was just like, okay. And like, she immediately starts crying and she was
Yeah.
like, do we know what happened? I was like, no,
Yeah.
I just got the call like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And she goes, okay. And mom and Stevie are already dealing with their shit. Dina, who is an amazing mother-in-law. I hear stories all the time. People are like, oh my God, I hate her. Do we agree on everything? No. Do we have the same opinion about a lot of things? No. But she is an amazing grandmother and mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I'm telling her, and she's like, what do you need? And I was like, I want my fucking brother back.
Yeah.
And just lying. And she was like, okay, where's Randall? And I was like, Randall's in the garage. He's coming up now. She goes, okay, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to talk to Randall. We got to get you home.
Yeah.
We got to get you home. And I was like, I want to take the kids with me. And Randall's not wanting me to stay. And she's like, no, baby.
Yeah.
Those babies need to stay home.
Yeah.
You need to go there and be there with your mom and your brother.
Yeah.
I will fly out there and help Randall with the kids.
Having that familial support is so, as you must remember with Molly's death, well, you weren't here, so you might not, but the community was unbelievably supportive. Her funeral filled the Capitol Center for the Arts. It was this 1,300 people sitting in that theater. It filled every seat. That was incredibly helpful for us because I just felt like we had this huge measure of support. It lasted for months. When I read other people's experiences in my groups and things, if there's any good fortune in child loss, it's that I was with Molly when she died. She wasn't kidnapped or raped or murdered or tortured. She didn't die by suicide. I was with her. If there's a good side to child loss, I had one of the best possible journeys. I could blame someone else very obviously. The little things I blamed myself for were very overshadowed by the negligence of the hospital and the doctors. So I look at other situations. Like when I heard about Sam, I just thought, oh my God, poor Christine. Because that's my thought goes to the mother. Like, what the hell? Like, God, how is this going to be? And then of course, my next thought are you two, like, oh my, we'd have to do this again. So you guys must be ridiculously close now. Even if you're not living in the same place, you must be just each other's person.
Yeah.
So I would think, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, like we may not talk every day,
Mm-mm.
but then like we'll have times where it's like, I haven't talked to you in 2 months. And then Randall will always go get annoyed because like me and Steve will be on the phone for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just like talking about random shit. Or we'll have our moments where we're like talking like every day. But we do text after Sam died. It was me, Mom, and Stevie all got into a text chain with each other just to like check in with each other. Hey, is everybody doing all right? Blah, 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 blah. And that's literally been us. But like me and Stevie have always been close. Like it was always Leslie and Sam and me and Stevie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Sam died, me and Stevie, and I'll never forget it after, because I had flown home that Sunday after, because Sam died that Friday. I flew home Sunday. Me and Stevie, it's probably not healthy, but we have a really dark sense of humor.
Incredibly dark. Oh,
And so we were like,
viciously
out of
dark.
all the shit that we did when we were kids that should have killed us, and we're the ones that fucking survived, how the fuck does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mom
Oh,
just like
yeah.
cracking up and just being like, yeah, that's true. Like,
I don't
You
know
have
if it was mom or me, but I think first night Evelyn was in, we had
are
made
you
it.
talking about the drag show thing?
Yeah. Yep. It said like, oh, final 3. Sam, sashay away. It was like such a dark moment to be able to recognize that, yeah, it's just the final 3. That's it. But with such levity that it made it more bearable.
Like, yeah, because I got in at like 10:30 or something at night and automatically just drove to Mom's house in Keene.
Yep.
And, you know, hugs, kisses, everything. Stevie brought up the America's Next Top Model. And I'll never forget, and Stevie, correct me if I'm wrong, because Stevie's like, sashay away. And Mom like does like this whole like model turn and just walks down the hallway. And we just all started busting out laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
And then
perfect.
Stevie looked at us and he's like, what is wrong with us? And I was like, I don't fucking know.
Actually, nothing was wrong
No.
with you. The number of times that we laughed in that hospital when Molly was on life support, and I had a couple of friends say, "How can you laugh?" And I'm like, I have to laugh. One of my favorite books is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The movie was fantastic, but it's about the mental hospital. And one of the characters, Chief, says his famous line is, "If you lose your laughter, you lose your footing."
Yeah.
And I have that written in every journal. Every year I get a new day planner. It's the first thing I put because you can't stop laughing or it's just going to implode. And sometimes in the laughter and in those moments, the most beautiful nuggets of truth come out. And yeah, I'm that way. I'm happy and sad at the same time, all the time, every day.
That's the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. I also do a picket fence analogy where life is a picket fence, meaning my left foot's on one side, my right foot's on the other. So a good day, the picket fence is low, right? On a bad day, my feet don't reach. So a picket fence is pointy. And if your feet don't reach, where is it? It's up your ass.
Yeah,
Nothing good about a picket fence in your crotch, right? That's a bad day. And I have them. Sometimes when I'm really struggling, I'm like, it's just a tall picket fence day. People are like, got it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. You've got the side of your life that yearns to be happy, surrounded by the side of your life without Leslie and Sam in it. And what the fuck do you do with that? Well, you just keep walking is what you do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
you
I like your
forward.
analogy a lot more than, because I was like, you either laugh or you cry. But the notion, like, well, both
Sometimes
of
it's
those are
both.
important. Both of those are really important. So the notion
Right.
of like, I like the notion of like, when you lose your laughter, you lose your footing, because like you need a direction, even if regardless of what gets you through that day, but something you need to do something that gets you through the end of that day.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a laugh.
And if it's to model walk down the hall 2 days after your kid dies, then that's what it is.
Correct.
Yep.
No, you got to do what you got to do to get through. That's any way you can. You just get through it.
Yes, exactly.
And it's awful, and people don't understand. It's like it's the only fucking option. It's the only fucking option. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll never forget. So Mom and Stevie had came out to California.
Oh my God, I love this story.
Our first Christmas without Sam.
Oh.
And like we laughed,
so
I laughed so hard that I have a laugh now that apparently cracks up Stevie every time I do it.
She can't breathe anymore, and she starts heaving. It's hilarious.
But like we laughed so much and we cried, and I'll never forget. Me and Stevie have talked about this I don't know how many times. My mom telling me that Sam's death affected her, and she misses Sam more than she misses Leslie.
Well, times passed too. Yeah.
And I remember looking at her, I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you know, let's be honest, like Leslie was a bitch. And I was like, yeah, she was. Like, she was an asshole.
Yeah.
And she was like, Sam was such a great kid. Like, he was always happy-go-lucky, and he made me laugh, and he babied me.
Right.
And he was always there.
So there was more day-to-day stuff to miss.
Yeah, Sam was checking on Mom, come over on the weekends. Yeah.
Leslie never got to grow out of her idiotness. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, She never got
She's
to.
very
Her
self-centered
prefrontal
as
cortex
well.
was never able to actually mature. She was just impulse. In the same vein as what Evelyn said, something my mother said that I think took her a bit to say, at least 6 months. She's like, she's not happy that Sam is dead, but now she's not having
She
to
doesn't
worry
have to
about
worry about him anymore.
the 3 a.m. phone calls because Sam
Yeah, she doesn't have to worry about him anymore.
was a struggling addict. I think he was in rehab 3, 4, or 5 times in his life, and it would always be the same thing. He would call mom in the middle of the night. He would just reach his limit, and he'd be like, "Mom, I need help." And mom would be like, "Okay, I'm in the car," and drop him off at the rehab facility, drop him off at the fire department in Manchester because it used to be a safe space. You could just drop someone off there to reach them to services. But my mom didn't have to worry about that anymore. But one of the best moments, Evelyn reminded me of this, but she didn't talk about it, so I'm going to say it. One of the best moments I had with Evelyn in California, it was the day we were supposed to leave that day, and I wanted to go on a hike. It was California for everyone out there.
Yeah.
It looks like the surface of Mars. It's so fucking beautiful. It's stunning. It's so very different than New Hampshire. For some reason, I wanted to go on a hike. I've gone on very few hikes in my life, but I was like, I want to go on a hike. I want to hike that mountain. I think mom was staying home, and so everyone we're busying ourselves let's try that hike, and so we did.
I want to say it's at least half a mile or a mile up,
Probably, yeah.
and it's almost like a straight incline.
Everyone's at that point, Evelyn had developed an autoimmune disorder, and so her
I already had it at that point.
Yeah, but you didn't really know what you could do. You were nervous, and I said, Evelyn, let's try it.
Way out of shape too.
I'm like, we can take as many breaks as you want to. We can do. I'm like, we'll
I thought
see how far we can get.
Up that goddamn thing.
See how far we can get. And I remember as we got to the top, I was like, Evelyn, we're at the top. And I remember for some reason, Evelyn and I just sobbing. We were so happy that we got there. And then Evelyn and I paddled around at the top, and I walked along the ridge. And I remember seeing 2 birds on either side, Leslie and Sam, flying. And then additionally, the weirdest thing, I saw a white dog, a black and white dog, that Kira, which is Sam's favorite dog, bounding around. And I was quite a distance away from him, oh my God, she's gonna be fucking mauled. Shit, damn it, she's gonna be mauled by a goddamn dog, and I'm all the way over here, shit. And so I get my way back over. I'm like, everyone, do you see something? I was like, yeah. I'm like, was that Kira? And I was like, it looked just like her. And it was really.
But we couldn't find it after, remember?
Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment for us to be in a space together and healing together through it. I remember we left
monument at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And
so we put
2 pennies for Sam and Leslie.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll never forget telling Stevie was, this is the closest we'll ever be to them.
Yeah.
On this side. And me and Stevie just looked at each other, and we started crying again.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can we get off this thing? And he was
can we be done with this now? Let's move on to reality TV or something so I can stop being sad. Is Sam buried in Concord?
Blossom Hill. Yeah.
Is that Blossom Hill? Is he near Leslie?
Right next to her. So Todd bought a double plot, and then he, soon after Leslie died, found someone new, took Jenna away. I haven't seen her since.
Yeah, that's awful.
Awful. Yep. So there's supposed to be a double plot for Leslie, and Todd ran away with Jenna and abandoned everything. So when Sam died, initially after Todd had left, I was like, well, I'll be buried next to Leslie. That's where I'll be buried. I'm like, okay, cool. And then Sam died. He's gonna go there. That's where he was going. I go up there every week. It's part of my pilgrimage now. Part of my routine now was to take care of them in that way now. I check the flowers. I walk around. It's my way of taking care of them now. It's just really, really beautiful. And I drive down Garvin's and up to the cemetery. It's just really a centering experience for me, especially if I'm overwhelmed. It just really brings me in.
So Sam was cremated, not buried. But the one thing I will say for Todd is, when we're trying to figure out what we were going to do with Sam, because initially, for whatever reason, Mom was going to donate his body to science or something.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing. She wanted to donate his body to science. Remember that? Yeah.
I'm so glad it didn't happen, because I remember watching a documentary of, cadavers that are used, and I was like, if I saw Sam's fucking face being thrown through a fucking windshield, I'm going to lose my shit. I
would do it. I'd be I had no problem with it. I was like, cool. His body can go for science? Cool.
No, if you go before me, I'm putting you in a tree bloom, and then you're gonna become a lilac bush.
Evelyn, throw me in the fucking woods. Just throw my carcass in the woods. Just throw.
Chuck it off. Well, take it to the quarry, Steven.
Wrap me in burlap and throw me in the woods.
What are you, part of the Gilgo 4?
You guys are funny.
There's a lot of chemicals in embalming, and it's actually really, really.
You don't have to be embalmed. Molly's not embalmed.
Okay,
In my religion, they're against embalming. You just can't
Okay.
have an open casket funeral. But
Okay.
if you die and you don't want to be embalmed, you don't have to be. New Hampshire's good that way.
What
The
I
only
was
time
saying
you
is
have
the
to be is
one
if you're
thing-
being moved.
Okay.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to say is I'd reached out to Todd to get his permission that Sam could be buried next to him. And of course, Todd was hearing for the first time that Sam was dead. And so he's like, hey, can I talk to your mom? And this is like, Leslie had been dead for what? Like,
17 years at that point.
yeah, because she just reached her 21st year of being dead. Yeah, she reached her milestone. She's 21 years dead. Oh my God.
She's 42. Yeah.
But like Todd talking to mom and was like, the only nice thing I can ever do for you ever again. And he gave his plot up to.
I never heard that.
Yeah. So they buried his
You
ashes
were out
there.
doing something else.
Some of his ashes are buried there. Some of his ashes are actually still in my car.
I have his ashes on my desk.
Your mom can still be buried there.
Oh yeah,
They can put ashes.
that's the plan. Would be she'd be buried there because it just makes the most sense.
They could either put the urn in her casket with her, so that Sam is with her in the casket.
Yeah, remember one time, Stevie, you were like, we're going to make her ass out of jewelry.
Oh, I thought so. Why not? Who doesn't want to be
I know
jewelry?
people that have jewelry with it.
I would crush mom's body into diamonds. Why not? And wear around your body? What's wrong with that?
People do tattoos with ashes.
Yep.
See, that seems weird to me. That seems you're like putting it in your body. That's strange. But like the jewelry you can wear, I think it's beautiful.
There are people who literally eat ashes, like their loved ones.
There are people who snorted it. I'm like that. I'm like your brain is out. Your brain's out. Your brain's over now.
In sort of wrapping up this amazing conversation, if there was some sort of one quality or one statement or one description of going through this as siblings, losing a sibling and having a sibling to be connected to, what would it be?
So for me, I learned very early on, you're never going to get closure. Closure's not a thing. Yes, I know that they're both in heaven. That's just my religious belief that they're up there together. They're good now. They're not suffering. And I know one day that we'll all be up there with them. I still have dreams about them. I'll never forget the weirdest dream I had after Leslie died and she was in our kitchen. And I walked through the door and I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you're dead. And she turned around and she had like a big Kim Kardashian ass. And she was like, oh, a little shark bite never hurt anybody. And she turned around like half her ass was missing from a shark bite. But like, it gives me joy when I have dreams of them. But the other thing is you have to keep pushing. You can't go back. There's that's not there anymore.
No.
If it wasn't for, besides, my husband and my kids and my family, but me and Stevie going through this together as siblings, I don't think I would have been able to do it without Stevie. I really don't think I would have, because we don't always see eye to eye on things. We don't
really
agree on a lot
ever.
of things. But, we're ride or die for each other. Like, if he needs something, I'm there. If I need something, he's there. And literally like my best friend. We joke around all the time and it drives my mom crazy that like we're literally like we're secretly twins and mom just never fucking told us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I couldn't do it without him. I really couldn't.
Stevie, what about you?
I think family is crucial in shit like this because Evelyn's the only person who's lived through what I've lived through or knows Evelyn knows all my secrets. Evelyn and I know hers, so it's without her I don't know where I would be. But so much of what I've learned is that even on the days when it's the hardest and you can't get your shit together, you can't get out of bed, can't do anything, I just remember who I'm doing it for. Who I'm doing it for, what I'm doing it for. And a lot of the time, I talk about death often. It's been such a part of my life. People talk about getting older. I'm like, it's not guaranteed of everyone.
At all.
The other thing I would say, and Stevie can agree with me on the 110% with this, is tomorrow's not promised.
No.
Like, it sounds really corny and cliche and all that stuff. But, like, when we started the texting, like, checking in with each other every day, like, I could die tomorrow. Stevie could die. You could die. My mom, like, somebody could be gone tomorrow. So appreciate what you have and who you have every day.
Yes.
Because, like, losing Sam, losing Leslie, like, it wasn't something that was planned. And maybe it was, universal or fate.
Yeah, but not in your life.
But
You didn't
exactly.
plan it. Right.
Kind of going off what Evelyn says, nothing is promised. I don't know if it was Sam and Leslie's death or a combination of both, but like I lived my life authentically 1,000%
Yes.
because there's no other option. And because of that, I know when my time comes, when my ticket's called, I'm going to be so proud of myself for what I did. Because like I made it my mission to make this world a kinder, softer place. I have done that already in my own small way. So for me to be able to continue that mission forward is a calling. I'm not religious in any regard, but it is in that vein.
Like a spiritual calling or a universal calling. Yeah.
But just to keep pushing.
I'm
And
proud of you, Stevie.
I do that, and I do that through because there's just so many things my siblings were unable to do. Pushed to because they could not. In the moments that are really, really rough, there's a moment I have, I think it was 8th grade, I think. We had a track meet. I didn't do very much, and for some reason, my coach put me in the 400 relay. I was not experienced in a 400 relay. My first 400 relay, and on the moments that I'm really heavy and I can't see my way out of it, I remember Leslie's voice screaming, "Fuck it!" It was like I was down at that last 100 meters, and I was booking it, and I was slowing down, and there were people coming up because I had gassed up first and didn't have much that last bit, and I remember Leslie screaming. It gave me such a boost to keep going. So in moments when it's really, really heavy, I just recall that. Or the other option is Sam wrote me a poem soon after I came out that I will keep forever. It's probably one of my most prized possessions, but it's something I keep. So if I ever worry if I'm doing it correctly, if I'm doing it right, I just refer to those moments. And so I'm like, okay, just keep pushing. That's all you do. Just keep pushing.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, I'm going to need a nap or a drink.
Same.
I go for a drink.
Or a drink and then a nap.
Yeah.
There you go.
This has been fantastic. And I know fantastic isn't really a word that we would use to describe a story like this, but there's so much love in the sadness. I think grief and love are the same thing. And when people say move on or stop crying or whatever, it's like, okay, so you want me to stop loving? Okay, that's not going to happen.
Well, and like, I know for me, Sam's been dead, 4 years?
Yeah.
And Leslie's been gone 21 years, and there are still moments where I still cry. Mom still cries.
Oh,
Of
same
course
here.
it is. You'll cry forever.
I'm in year
Like
10.
I remember telling Mom like not too long ago, and I was like, you know what really makes me mad? And she's like, what? I was like, Leslie never got to meet August. Leslie never got to meet her niece and nephew. Never got to meet Randall.
Yeah.
Like the life, and me and Stevie were talking about this the other day as well. Like what their lives would have been like.
Right.
Yeah.
Like would Leslie still have been so pretty at 42?
Yeah. Leslie never saw me come out of the closet. So many parts of our lives that my brother and sister will never see me get married. The things in the future that
you assumed would be there. Yes.
Yeah, of course you assume they're going to be there. They're your family. That's
Gracie's, her current partner celebrated her 21st birthday. And so they're at Disney because they work there and they're drinking around the world. And Emily turned 21 and Molly turned 21 last year. And of course we did a big drink around the world for Molly kind of thing, but Molly's dead. And so Gracie had a really hard time with it. And, even though Molly's been gone 9 years, it doesn't make it easier. And she just, the whole thing was impossibly difficult for her. And that's for the same thing. She'll never get to do all the things that they thought they'd do together.
Well, I'll never forget when I turned 21, I had Bill and Randall was still deployed. And then I remember calling my mom and freaking out because I was days away from turning 22. And I remember looking at my mom and calling her, and I was just like, am I going to make it? And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, am I going to make it to 22? And she was like, yes, you're going to make it. You're going to grow into a very old lady.
Yes. And that's when you reach the age and get older than they were she's still your big sister, but now you're long older than she would ever be. For us, it's when we get to 13 years without her, and now it will be the same number of years she was here as she's gone. And then it will be she's gone longer than she was here. And does that mean it didn't matter?
Connected with me. Leslie's literally been dead as long as she was alive.
Yeah.
21
you're
years.
At that right now. Holy shit.
Wow.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. I was thinking before this, how many years is it? I was like, and it was like, oh, wow. Yeah, exactly.
So she was just about to turn 22.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you guys. See, time is weird too. For a long time, I would say, oh, it was 5 years ago. And then I'd realize I'm doing 5 years from 2016. That's gotten better as time has gone by. Some of the linear aspect of life has calmed down for me. But when I'm not in a good place, life is just one big giant clusterfuck sometimes. I just, it's like, what do I do?
Retweet that one.
What's that?
That's true.
Yeah.
Retweet it.
Yeah, exactly. I love you guys. People, be good to yourselves. Steven and Evelyn are good to themselves. They self-care. They reach out. They ask for help. They talk to each other. And they practice all the things that their siblings didn't get to practice in making the world a better place. So once you've been good to yourself, be good to someone else like them. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Feel free to leave a review and share my stories with your friends. Please reach out with your own stories, as I love connecting with my listeners. If you would like to get to know Molly, head over to mollybfoundation.org to see what she is all about. If you want to see what I'm up to next, you can find me on Instagram at barb_444, on Facebook as Barb Higgins, and at my website, 1000tinysteps.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, a weekly way to find out what's up in the life of Barb Higgins.